Scott, what's all this stuff littering up all the mats in the dojo?
Well, this is branched chain amino acids, protein powder. It comes in cookies and cream. Can you believe that? It's like having dessert, and it's healthy. Resistance bands, yoga mat, leg warmers.
You yoga?
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We'll go to knee braces. This is aspirin in case of a heart attack, medical alert bracelet.
That's my aspirin.
I'm going to use I'll give it back when I'm done. Right. This is one of those suits that makes you sweat a lot. And this sends volts upon volts of electricity into my stomach to grow abs, so I won't have to do any sit-ups at all.
I know I'm going to be sorry for asking this, but why?
Well, I figure Batman just worked out a lot, and now he's a superhero, so I could do that too, right?
Yeah. We must be talking superhero campaigns this week on the Dungeon Masters Dojo.
Support the Dungeon Masters Dojo by heading over to Apple Podcasts and Podchaser and leave a review. Take the time to leave a comment as well. This helps make us more searchable to those listeners interested in content such as ours. But more importantly, we want to know how we are doing and what topics you would like to hear about.
Another way you can support the DMD is with a small monthly donation, so we can continue to deliver quality content to you, our listeners. This also helps us to upgrade and replace equipment. Head over to Anchor, to the Dungeon Masters Dojo page, and click the support button. And now, onto this week's episode.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dungeon Masters Dojo podcast. This is a show for game masters, as well as experienced and new players alike. We hope to bring you the tools needed to not only be a great GM, but to help you develop as a player. I'm your host, Louis Aponte. Our stars of the show are Scott Labby and Bill Robotile. Let's enter the dojo and see what both Bill and Scott have in store for us today. Hey, Scott. Hey, Bill. Superheroes? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, right?
You're going to give yourself a heart attack.
Yeah, well, you know, it's the stomach cramps from all the protein powder that I think will do me in first.
And I really expect you to sweep up all those crumbs. There's protein powder freaking everywhere.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll get the leaf blower in here, and we'll just blow it into the corner.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
I think it's sheetrock dust.
So,
it tastes like it.
Why run a superhero campaign?
And it's fun.
It is fun.
It is fun.
It is huge fun. It's over the top, and it's okay to be over the top too. That's, I think, probably the best part of it.
I think some of the ones we've played have taken campy to a new level.
A whole new level.
With a capital camp.
Yeah. Well, I think more importantly, it gives you a break from your other game or whatever system you may be playing.
Yeah, and it's a good break.
It's a nice diversion.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yep.
You could get away with a lot, you know, and it's okay. If you're gonna do like outlandish over the top stuff, like the wild card, you know, that's the game
built
for the wild card.
Built for the wild card,
oh,
yes.
It was.
For the player that'll just do anything.
Take it over the top.
Outlandish, yeah.
Yep.
And it's okay.
I have superpowers? I can do what?
Yeah.
People learn quick not to give me too many.
And you're right. It may be the break that your fantasy or, you know, horror DM needs to kind of re-energize themselves a little bit.
Well, not only is it fun to do, you can do a one-off, you can do a couple weeks. It could turn into a campaign. We've done a few little, like, oh, I'll just do it for a couple weeks, and ran months.
Yeah.
We ran months.
Yeah,
and
it
it's
kind
like
of snowballs.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's like, no, let's do it again. That was fun. Yeah, what are we gonna do next week? Let's do the superheroes.
Yep. And then you get back into the game, like we all have, right? And it just feels new again. You know, when you get back to your kind of whatever genre that you're in most of the time.
I call it the new sneaker syndrome. Remember when you were a kid, you got new sneakers, you swore you ran faster?
Yeah.
Jumped higher?
I did.
You go back to the game.
It was the protein powder and the knee braces.
Well, you need to. I can't.
For me, it's just the aspirin.
That
84 milligrams a day.
Yep, I think we're all there.
But yeah, it's this new sneaker syndrome. You're back to the game. It's all fresh. It's all new. Even though you picked up right where you left off, everyone is invigorated. And it's fun to watch because then they take that energy into the other game. Sometimes they try to take some of their superpowers into the other game as well, but you got to curb it back.
It's one of those things too, which you really have to consciously focus on your suspension of reality and disbelief, because you almost don't want to bring any realism to a superhero campaign because it'll kind of bog it down. It'll make it not as exciting and fun,
Right. I think doing a superhero campaign, it should be comic booky, over the top.
Absolutely. And that's what, you watch the Marvel movies and they're exactly that. They're comic book movies.
Yeah.
And there's no apologies made for them, and they've been extremely popular, and I think that's why.
Well, you jump from panel to panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you do it, and that's like when I run or when I try to play, I try to think of it in panels. What are they going to see in this panel? And that's what I'll try to describe. Whether I'm game mastering or whether I'm playing. And then I'll move on to the next panel and the next panel. So everything's compartmentalized. And that's how most people, comic book people, think, because that's how they read it, is in panels.
I think it's the expectation to be over the top too, a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Why would you want to play a superhero game firmly grounded in reality? It's like, no, you're doing it a tremendous disservice.
Oh, yeah.
You want aliens and moon bases and giant laser guns and spaceships and super
villains that are going to blow up a
hideouts.
continent.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, I guess one of the big question is high-powered or low-powered?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I'll do any. It'll be over the top either way.
In the fantasy world, I've always enjoyed the mortality of starting your character at the bottom.
Yep.
And building them up. And in the fantasy world, that's easy to do because there's a progression there. Most of your superhero games will have the same progression or a similar progression. It's fun to play the sidekick that is building his way up to become a superhero. That transition between Robin and Nightwing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. That's the difference between low power and high power.
I think with and they pose very different challenges too to the GM, because when you do like a high powered game, like you're like the Avengers or Justice League, you're doing like world saving stuff. It's got to be they're epic in scope. It should be handled that way.
Not only that, their powers are epic. That means things
go
around quick.
When you're dealing with people like the Hulk or Thor or Superman or Wonder Woman, they're either mythological beings, aliens, or some
dimensional beings.
Yeah, but they could be big fun. You're flying and crashing into things, and the battles are bigger and more sweeping. And
I was playing in a superhero campaign for it was Champions. I enjoy Champions. A little a lot of math to it. A crap load of dice.
Yep.
A little bit more challenging than Marvel. Marvel's more your vanilla. Real fun. Don't get me wrong. We love Marvel because especially for one shots, it's a fast build. But if you're gonna do long term, Champions is a little bit. You get a lot more in depth in your character. And I just I Iron Man everything. I just random rolled crap, and I ended up with basically a weather witch, kind of like Storm. But her powers were based on her emotions. And if she got pissed off, the entire eastern seaboard would cloud over. That's a lot of power when you can affect hundreds of miles with your mood.
Yeah.
That's when you're dealing with superpowers.
Well, that's like
high level.
Do you remember when I played Star?
Yeah. Same thing.
She was kind of a mixture between Superman and Wonder Woman, except she can create items out of nothing. And I had fun playing with her, but I think the GM it put the GM in a hard spot quite a few times because she was really, I think, overpowered.
Right.
Marvel the TSR's Marvel Superhero RPG was always my favorite and my go-to.
That's mine too.
I did Champions and Mutants and Masterminds, but I
like TMNT really.
Yeah, that was good too. But Marvel, I just really liked, and I liked it because it was easy.
It's very versatile.
Yes.
It's easy. It's versatile. It's a quick build for your characters. You can have someone brand new come in, and it's real easy to pick up. So yeah, Marvel, and that's one of the reasons it's been our go-to for a sideline.
The versatility, really. I mean,
we've used Marvel for low power
everything,
like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen style characters, where you had a few abilities and skills that were extraordinary, not necessarily super powered, but it's a low powered superpower game. And then we've played some campy, fun off mutants. We all got splashed with Chemical X and all kinds of goofy ass shit happened. And we had a blast with that. And they were medium powered. I mean, they could very easily step up to high level campaigns and hold their own.
So with that said, if you had to pick a system, both of you, which would you pick? We'll let Bill go first.
Well, like I said, if you're going long term, you want to do a campaign, and you want more versatility, I would go to Champions. I loved Champions because it had so many small nuances. Yes, it was more complicated. It was complicated to build your character, but once you got the system, and there is a Hero Database, which is an old program that will still run on 32-bit systems for those of us that still have them, because 64 is too big of a number for my brain to catch on to. Yay, Windows 95.
I really need to get him a new computer.
Yeah, or a calculator.
There's nothing wrong with my abacus. But it's math heavy. But once you get into it and once you figured it out and you kind of get the gist of it, it's not that bad. And I like the versatility for long term because you can do the small builds. You can build your points, get the big powers. You can spoon off a lot the way you do with Marvel. You have your powers, and then you'll have your stunts. There's something similar to that with you start your base power, then your lower powers that feed off of that. So for long term campaigns, I would go with Champions. For short term, I'm in Scott's camp.
Marvel all day.
I'm going to agree with you. I guess I'm just so used to Marvel. Yes, I played Champions, I played TMT, but I think Marvel is my overall favorite.
And there's a host of supplements out there that they did before the game was canceled that fill in a lot of that stuff. And I could take a skeleton of a rule set and be perfectly happy with that as long as the story part is good. Well,
for our group, we're always rules light and role play heavy anyways.
Yeah.
And this is in any superhero, and when you do Marvel, but any superhero, you're talking role play heavy.
Yeah, the rule of cool applies.
The rule of cool is all over.
Everything.
All over. If you can explain it away, all right, this is how I'm going to justify this revolver shot from my hip, behind my back, off the side over here, hit the bell over there, the pot hanging on in front of the store over there. I mean, if you can explain it and you can come up with a role that's halfway decent, you can pull it off.
And the number one reason why I would do Marvel for both short and long term is
you have the books.
And well, that is a good reason. Is I want to try Hugerot Johansson's Ite with the Marvel Superheroes RPG because I think, and I've talked to him a bunch of times about this.
Yep.
And we gotta have him on and just talk about something. I don't care what it is, anything. How he folds his laundry, but I think that Ite would be killer in a superhero game with that rule set.
Yeah. Just so people understand, I think Scott's talking about the hybrid gaming system.
That's absolutely what I'm talking about.
With the Ite engine.
The Ite gaming engine, yeah. That would really, really, really fit nicely with that.
It would.
Especially in like a superhero team type of thing. It would, it's almost like it was made for it.
So, go big or go home. How do you feel about that?
It's always got to be big.
Yeah.
You're superheroes. You're not just saving the young lady falling from the building. There's a reason she's falling off the building. Because some schmuck hucked her off of it. Why did he do that? To distract you because he's out there doing something really, really nefarious and he wants to keep you busy. And while you're busy, he's poisoning the water for the entire city, or he's about to shut down the power, or he's going to simultaneously rob 16 banks in the city. It's got to be big.
Well, yeah, because when you have big superheroes, you also have big villains.
You should.
Even if you don't, though, even if you're doing like a street level game, and your guys like Daredevil and stuff,
yep,
you got to go big anyway. You go big in a different way. It's not the same kind of big as like the Avengers or Justice League saving the world, but if you're doing these street level guys, you want these fights to be gritty and karate like.
So you're talking Defenders big or Teen Titans big?
Yeah. Defenders particularly, I think. You want these street level heroes to be, bloody knuckle kind of brawling. Just, I think of that scene in, I think it was like season 2 of Daredevil when the Punisher takes out a bunch of those guys in prison, and he's just standing there while the whole corridor fills with tear gas or whatever they were using on him. That kind of that was big, but it wasn't big like the Avengers fighting an invading
There's a
alien
difference between
army.
big and sweeping.
Yes.
You're not talking sweeping, you're talking big. Big, and even if it's a microcosm, it's big for that microcosm.
Yeah, and like John Wick.
His stuff
is big and over the top. It's not sweeping.
Right,
but that's the kind of big.
Big on a personal level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So reward the good and punish the bad. I guess, how do you define the line between the good guys and the bad guys sometimes?
Well, I'm a Marvel guy. We already established that.
Yep.
Bill is allowed to love champions. We're all wrong at some point in time, right?
I'm going to agree with you.
But I really like their karma system.
Yes.
Their karma system awards the heroism
and punishes
the villainy, so to speak. So I've modified that a little bit. My players that play those kind of teetering on the edge guys, the Punisher types or the Moon Knights.
Yep.
I'll award them karma for playing within within their character, but I think if you want a heroic game, you have to really hold people to that heroism. They have to be a good guy.
They have to be a good guy. There have to be those moments where, okay, I got the bad guy. I caught him. He's caused irreparable harm to people, property, finances, everything. I have two choices. There's no one here. I could grab this pistol and pop him in the forehead. Double tap him just to be on the safe side. Or I can actually drag his butt in, leave him trussed up on the front, the front stairs of the police station with a note, "You're welcome. You should have done this yourself."
So you're talking more like somebody who'd probably be extremely lawful good, like Superman. I think he's only killed one person. Well, in the movies, he's only killed one. And that's only because he had to.
Yeah. I think, those, especially with those, if you're going to play Paragon like Superman or Captain America, you really have to hold true to that. That's because that's an integral component to that character, to that hero.
Their morals and values.
Yeah, even if it's opposed to someone at your level, at your station. One of the other superheroes like, no, we can get away with this. No, there's no getting away with anything. That's not how it's done, and you gotta stick to it.
Yeah, it's almost like being an old school paladin all the time.
That's why I referenced the lawful goodness.
And I picked up on that, but it's true.
It is. You're a modern day paladin.
Yeah, because he's either going to be hated because he didn't take care of the problem, or he's going to be loved because he's still stuck in between that road of morality.
Yep. And there's got to be repercussions in some way, shape, or form. That could be a matter of other superheroes taking notice. You look at Batman versus Superman, which was a dreadful movie on all counts. But one of the things that I did like about it, and there's a very short list, was, Batman taking notice of Superman and being like, you know what, he can do an awful lot. Who's going to police him?
Exactly. Yep.
Who's going to watch the Watchmen, sort of thing.
Yep.
Other superheroes taking notice for these poor acts, these intentional deaths that occur as a result, and then put them in opposition. One of the things that was really cool about reading Marvel Comics was superheroes didn't always get along. It wasn't one big happy family.
Oh, no, yeah, they bickered all the time.
Yeah, Daredevil and Spider-Man, or, Daredevil, well, everybody in The Punisher, he just doesn't play well with others, that sort of thing.
His sandbox is a bucket.
Yeah, so have these other superheroes take notice, go, wait a minute, you did this. We all know you did this because the news footage shows it, it's all over the media, or I personally witnessed it. But there's got to be.
What are you going to do to show any kind of reciprocation for the damages or the harm that you've done? And, well, I'm a superhero. That's not me. Oh, really?
And that leads me to what I was just thinking about is when you got somebody like Superman, like you said, Batman took him to police him. But how about when your superheroes act like the boys?
Then they're super villains.
But are they really villains? Because I guess some people still look at them as like they're still doing good for something. It depends on how it's interpreted, I would guess.
Yeah, that's something that makes
that's a shade of gray that has to be directed by your storyteller,
right?
But it does make it interesting. It's like well, and I think of that. You bring up a good point. I think of that scene where who it was Homelander
and Queen May,
and they're on the plane, and the plane's crashing. And they're basically discussing how they're gonna dip on the plane, and Homelander's like, well, we can't. What am I gonna? We're not gonna be able to get everybody down in time, and I can't fly the plane down. That's just not. The physics don't work, so we're gonna have to head out of here and blame it on something else. and yeah, I mean that brings kind of that's an effective real world sort of take on superheroes, because sometimes you can't save everybody, so you got to make these hard choices, but that really depends on what kind of game you're playing, and that's got to be like established at your session 0. But those games can be really fun too. They can be really, really fun.
Well, it brings the whole moral dilemma to a whole different level, and it ramps that right up. It also is going to give you the opportunity to have much more fodder to use against them. Let's face it, backgrounds, even superheroes, for your storytellers is important from your players. And now they're providing you with even more stuff because, all right, maybe someone witnessed, or maybe there's an investigation about why the plane went down and why, there was rumors or hints that there might have been someone there that could have helped, but where were they? Were they really there? Were they not there? And now there's an investigation. Now, whether anything comes out of it, you don't know, but now it's all over the news. There's an investigation, and there goes the drama level way up through the roof. Yeah, and that's that can be a really compelling superhero game, because you kind of look at it like these folks are like your like your rock stars, your celebrities, and they have a lot of power. And they have a lot of money probably, but that power is the biggest thing, and it's power that comes directly from them. So, what are the penalties for misbehaving? There are none, right? Who's gonna? What are you gonna be arrested?
How can you punish somebody like that?
You put them in timeout.
Yeah.
Speaking of timeouts, let's take a break.
Yeah, my tights just came. I got to go try them on.
Christ.
Okay, and we're back, and over in the corner, Scott is trying to pry on his brand new tights. Something similar to Mr. Incredible trying to get his old tights on.
Do I look fat in these?
Yes.
Maybe the cape will help.
It's got to hide some of those bulges.
Only the backside.
Maybe a jacket.
Okay, we're going to move on. Yes. So I guess we should talk about getting familiar with the different age of comics.
Yeah, I think if you want to start a superhero campaign, knowing what styles are prevalent in what ages are kind of important, because there's a certain look.
Oh yeah, it's a very different look
and a feel. Like I got some notes because this is where my life has come to research on comic book ages.
He put a cot down in the Lyceum.
I spent a lot of time.
We're in the process
in the basement.
We're in the process of putting in a dumbwaiter so we can just pass down his Happy Meals, and
they discontinued cookies. Probably best though. I've got to look good in these tights.
Yeah.
So
more yogurt.
Golden Age was between 1938 and 1950, and this is where we see Superman make his appearance. At that time, we had a lot of small comic book companies all over the place doing kind of carbon copies of
something like
everybody else's stuff.
Yeah. Everyone had to change the name just a little bit. Hey, instead of Superman, let's call him Amazing Man. Oh, ours is Stupendous Man. And
they ran through the whole thesaurus.
Yes.
You didn't see a lot of women in there that were super heroines or superheroes. I don't know if even the term heroine is used on female heroes anymore. But Wonder Woman was like one of the only ones. It was a handful. The whole look too, that the strongman, the circus strongman suit was a big thing visually in that area, and the tropes are kind of established. That alter ego, the origin story, a rogues gallery of villains for the superheroes to fight, and usually, this is when all the superheroes got together and fought the Nazis too.
Yeah. Well, back then, everyone fought the Nazis.
Yeah, everybody. And then the Silver Age was from 56 to 70, and that's when we get Justice League of America. Please do a good movie. I'm hopeful for the Snyder cut of Justice League. Really, really hopeful.
They took down a trailer. The trailer was looking pretty gnarly outside.
Can I just tell you, I totally nerded out when I was hearing about this, and I have these conversations with my missus's brother, who is a nerd as well.
I thought he was going to say himself in the shower.
No.
He hasn't made a shower reference yet.
Give it time. The night is young. But I guess Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern's supposed to be in it.
Oh, Green Lantern. I don't think it's going to be Ryan Reynolds.
I think it is Ryan Reynolds. That's the rumor. I don't know. If anybody out there is listening, leave some comments on our Facebook page on whether or not I'm wrong. But
is he trying to have just a couple moments of that particular Green Lantern to be good?
You know what? Well, no, because his other Green Lantern was very shitty.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. But it had nothing to do with Ryan Reynolds. I thought the movie itself was beautiful. There was a lot of times it reminded me of looking through those, how were they called? Do you remember the little red binoculars? With the round. What the heck were they called? None of you out there listening probably in a certain age category knows what we're talking about, but anybody who's probably 45 and older probably
with the little cardboard cards you'd slide in there.
Yeah, they were round, and they had, it was almost like a 3D image where you looked like you were on the moon and everything.
Right. It was a 3D image, yeah.
Yeah, it was, but that's what it looked like. The space scenes. I wish I knew it. I could remember what it was. That's called.
That's age kicking in where we can't even remember.
Yeah, it was the 80s. The 80s was a little rough on my long-term memory. But yeah, the Ryan Reynolds being in there, and I hear there's rumors of him signing on to do something in the DC EU. But the Snyder Cut's supposed to be 5 hours long, I heard. And it might be a mini series or something. So I'm hopeful.
Viewmaster.
That's absolutely
you found
right.
it before I did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you can't search the internet with an abacus, Bill. Just an FYI. If you heard the clicking in the background, that's what that was. It was the abacus hard at work. He's like lightning with that thing, though.
It's got colors.
Yeah, so back to the Silver Age. It's easy to get derailed. Marvel comes along during that time period, so we start to see like Spider-Man, Thor, the Hulk, Iron Man, the X-Men. You get a lot of those storylines. Like the X-Men was a really a commentary unlike any other out there. It was fantastic. And then the Comics Code. So you see it happen. So you see a lot of changes in the storyline. You see kind of Joker, especially, be very different. He's not as much of a sociopath as he was.
Yeah, he's just a little misdirected.
Also, Mark Hamill, I love you, Joker. Awesome. In case Mark Hamill's listening, right? Because he's out there.
Why wouldn't he be?
Every Monday night at 12:01, he's like, another episode of the Dungeon Masters Dojo is dropping.
Best part of my week.
Yeah. The hell with all that Star Wars shit. It's the DMD. Yeah.
This is even better than those commercials with Patrick Stewart.
That's my bizarre fantasy. Guys like Mark Hamill listening. If you do, leave a comment. And then we get the Bronze Age from 1970 to 85. So the comic book authority begins to decline. They're not as influential as they are. So we start seeing these like grittier,
considerably less censorship.
Yeah, cooler comic book stories. They're darker. They face higher stakes. That's Gwen Stacy died, I think, during the Bronze Age.
I believe you're right.
Yeah. When he saved her and shot her with a web, and she ended up breaking her back or something like that. That was terrible. The underground comics movement starts, right? We're starting to get all these other independents coming out. Like, was it Dark Horse?
Dark Horse
was huge, yeah.
Yep. The supernatural themes and, with horror and stuff like that make a comeback because the comic book codes kind of put the kibosh on that. Now we're starting to see a lot more diversity, which is cool. So we get female protagonists. There's a ton of female superheroes coming out. Different ethnicity being represented. And like really like solid stories too for these.
Yeah, the writing actually got really, really amazing. I mean, in the beginning it was very, in the Golden Age, it became actually predictable. Yeah, it was still. Yep. Don't get me wrong, still fun to watch, but at the time, the people were like, "Oh, they're mesmerized just by the fact that someone could have supernatural powers," where that was their focus, not necessarily the story.
Yeah, a lot of it was recycled too from one,
from the others, but
person to the other.
But yeah, still, a little, and then around the Silver Age, the artwork started getting a little bit better.
Yeah,
you had people that actually started specializing in that, especially towards the end of that. And then when you got to the Bronze Age, now it's a full-blown industry.
Yeah, and we're seeing
mainline, the artists, the writers. I mean, this is what they do for a living. This is what they wanted to do for a living, and it's showing. So you're definitely getting, I think in the Bronze Age, you're getting kind of the best of all worlds.
And we got some of, like, I think arguably the best stories too. That's when
they're getting complex,
Frank Miller,
multi-leveled.
Yep. Yeah. Frank Miller does The Dark Knight Returns. There's Daredevil Born Again, Batman Year One, all of which were phenomenal. Daredevil for me started being really, really cool during that period, that Born Again period. And we get Watchmen, which I absolutely loved. Absolutely loved.
Yep.
So yeah, you see a lot of that stuff, and you see that grittier storyline, especially in Watchmen.
Yep.
Which was just a cool little mini series that they did. I think it was like 12 or 13 issues.
Yeah, I think my favorite was Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, I liked Rorschach.
Yep.
Rorschach was like the Question recycled.
Yeah.
But I liked Rorschach a lot. He was my favorite, and I was like super bummed at the end when Dr. Manhattan killed him like Darth Vader killed Obi-Wan Kenobi. Poof, he turned him into confetti.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the modern age. Modern age comes 1985 to present. You were in your 40s in 85, weren't you, Bill?
I don't think I was that young.
Yeah, we're gonna one of these days we're gonna find his phylactery. So you get a grim and gritty realism, right?
Yeah.
It continues to be a trend in the superhero world, and there's like a boom, I guess. So I read this, right? X-Men #1 sold over 7 million copies when it came out, and then in the 90s there's this like huge decline in sales, and I think it was during that time period that Marvel actually was struggling with bankruptcy, and that's why they sold a bunch of their intellectual properties to Sony. Shame on you.
Well, they got them back.
They got them back. It's about
Right.
damn time, because those are some wretched movies that Fox did. And so I'm glad everybody's coming home. It's nice. That's pretty much that. That's it. So that in a nutshell, in a very big and lengthy nutshell, were the different ages. But like how does that fit in? It's the whole look and feel and description of your campaign,
Right.
is based on a lot of that.
Well, I mean, you've gone from 16 color comics in the golden age to 64 color, in your silver. And from that point on, now you're dealing with artists that are actual artists.
Phenomenal.
Some of
artists.
that stuff is just absolutely gorgeous. And now a lot of it, so much is digital. There's still artists out there doing it, but they're doing it on digital medium now, and the effects are just mind blowing.
Well, I know some of the even the video game industry right now is picking up on a lot of the comics. I mean, they got the new Marvel game that's coming out, and it looks good.
Yeah,
it looks real good. And they did it. They did a good job with the storyline. But it just goes to show you that, like Bill was just saying, that you come from 8-bit color all the way up to now, and they're very descriptive and everything. And
yeah, it's not. I'm not just referring to just the artwork itself.
Yeah.
The storylines have gotten so
that's what I mean
incredibly
too,
in
now.
depth.
And now,
there's
Scott was
layers
saying,
upon layers, and egg, little Easter eggs, that laid around here that take you off in all these different tendrils, and they've gotten very, very complex in their writing for the stories.
right. But even like what Scott was saying, that there's more. The female characters are more prevalent now than ever too.
Oh yeah, diversity is just through the roof, and I'm glad personally. Even the old man that I am, I'm glad to see it. I am very, very glad to see the type diversity that's out there.
Yeah, and I've always been a huge fan of Wonder Woman. Now, admittedly, my fandom of Wonder Woman began in the 70s with Linda Carter, but I mean, I'm only human.
And she still looks good in the suit.
She's absolutely stunning.
Sorry, but she does.
I can't say anything
But-
appropriate.
No, you shouldn't. You just don't speak.
Yes, I don't want to have to edit anymore.
But the the Wonder Woman comics back in the day were almost like kind of, a lot of times they were like bizarre fetish kind of comics. Like there was one where like
it's
someone
not that
was,
they weren't. They were.
And now she's
the writer back then was into BDSM. It's a well-known fact, and that's why.
What's that?
It's fetish.
Bondage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, of course.
That's why Wonder Woman kept getting tied up by her own lasso.
See, this is what I spend my time on the internet looking up comic book stuff. So I don't know any of this BDM or whatever it is.
Leave it to the old man. We got it.
But yeah, but now it's now you start seeing Wonder Woman and female heroes really taking their place, amongst their male counterparts as equally effective, equally powerful and engaging.
And then
heroes.
the stories they're writing for them too are
So much better.
So much better and makes sense. It's not just like, oh, well, here's, this is some super guy's girlfriend and he gave her a kiss and now she's super too.
Yeah.
Because there was stuff literally that stupid being written way back when. And now they have wonderful backstories.
Like I can't wait to see Marvel's treatment of Storm when they finally bring the mutants into the MCU.
I'm waiting to see Rogue myself.
Rogue is another one. I think we'll see her soon.
Yep, I know we're going to see Kamala Khan soon too.
Yep, yeah, Miss Marvel.
Yep.
I think we'll see the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel take a back seat when Rogue is introduced, because that's how it happened in the comic books.
Yeah.
And I forget the her character was introduced in Captain Marvel. I forget the her successor's name, but I know she had this like crazy silver suit in the comic books and like a domino mask or something. That was the one that took.
I got an important question for you.
Yeah.
For both of you. Who's your favorite superhero?
Captain America and Batman. I can't decide. Both of them at the same time.
Okay. How about you, Bill?
Doctor Strange.
Good choice.
Doctor Strange is pretty.
I always
pretty
loved
badass.
Doctor Strange. When it first came out, I bought every one of those comic books. I just ate that up. I loved it. There's just something about the mysticism.
Yep. Me, it was Spider-Man. I always liked the underdog.
I enjoyed Spider-Man.
Great.
He was probably my number 2, but
He
Doctor Strange was
he's
my
one
number
of the
1.
few that could walk out of any of the Secret Wars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so what do you think about Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange?
Actually, I don't think he did a bad job.
I think he's phenomenal.
I think he did a pretty good job. Yep.
Now, this one's for Scott. Ben Affleck as Batman. I know there was some...
He's tearing his tights off.
I got to tell you, I was not happy when Ben Affleck was announced as Batman, but I love him.
He did a good job.
I absolutely love Ben Affleck, and I hear these rumors that there's going to be a Ben Affleck Batman series on HBO or HBO Go or something.
It was Ben Affleck. I can't remember the other actor's name who's doing the other show or the movie.
No. I'm talking about a show. I'm the sparkly vampire guy's doing the Batman movie, which is okay. But
which is exactly what he said about Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson, if you and Mark Hamill are sitting there listening, I'm sure you'll do a wonderful job.
Don't your poker game, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, Ben Affleck, I love him. I as a grizzled old Batman, I think he's phenomenal. He did him justice.
So we'll move on to our next part. Why don't you give us some tips on how to make your game successful, your superhero game, or even your superhero character?
A little research.
Yeah. Research goes a long way.
I mean, even if you have to drop to the lowest common denominator and just watch the CW.
Yeah.
Well, they have that star at
high cheekbones and 8-packs.
And 8-packs. There you go. And you're good.
Stargirl, I thought was good though. I thought they did a good job with Stargirl.
I have never watched any of these newer ones.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of them either.
You got to watch Stargirl. It's it goes with the Justice League. It starts off with the Justice League of America type thing, and I think they did a good job.
I'll add it to my research list.
Yes, I think one of the keys to developing your superhero campaign is you got to take a different approach than a lot of us do with our fantasy campaign. So Bill and I got together and we were like, okay, let's build a world. So we build a world and then trying to put all this detail in there, and that's great for a fantasy setting.
Because they asked for the detail.
Yeah, for a superhero setting, I don't think you even need to bother, because what's going to happen is your players are going to focus on what is in front of them at that moment with these games, and they're going to, you can assume it's in a modern setting like this, or even within the last like 50 or 60 years. But either way, it's still very similar. The buildings.
It's easy to keep it in context because everyone already has a predetermined note. Or if you're in Chicago, okay. Or if it was Chicago 100 years ago, it's still Chicago.
Yep. Deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
It's cold.
So it's real easy. You don't have to build a world because, like you said, most of it is already fairly modern.
Yeah.
So you don't have to build a world. It's already built for you. Look out your window.
Yeah, and I think that's the big key, because you could lose yourself in all these details that are totally unnecessary.
Right. So you stick with something relatively modern, and that makes it easy.
Having detailed notes is key too.
Always.
Because one of the things that I found as running a superhero campaign is you have this is where something like this is a game where character backstory is huge. Everybody needs their origin. It's just the thing that we do with superheroes.
Right.
But your NPCs can get really, really big. Your super villains, your rogues gallery can get huge.
Well, unlike fantasy, you can have NPCs that are just generic. In superhero, you can't. Your
Right.
every one of your NPCs are key people and are probably supers themselves, whether they're as powerful or they're underlings. But they're still, you have to build them out.
Right. Commissioner Gordon. Right. He's not a superhero, but he's a very very well fleshed out character and integral in the Batman universe, and like Alfred
influential and powerful. Yep. Not a superhero, but yeah. So your NPCs definitely have to be fleshed out. You need notes, a good amount of notes.
You really do,
and at least some kind of backstory on any of your villains or your any of your antagonists or protagonists that are going to make more than one showing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're going to make more than one showing, you need a backstory. You need to flesh it out almost as if you're playing that character.
You know what? And even if you have no intentions on them coming back for a second episode, if you will, there's going to be a player at the table that's you know what? I'm going to go talk to Roy the beat cop. Remember Roy from 7 Mondays ago? Nope. But okay, that's
Why?
always going to happen
because he said, and that's the one person that writes everything down.
Yep.
Well, he said this, and I want more detail on that. It's like, oh, more detail on something I don't remember from a guy I don't remember.
Yep. Keep those notes.
Yeah.
And reward gameplay. Really, that's like gameplay to your archetype, and your archetype isn't so much like an alignment, like D&D, but it's just like, what are you playing that? That super-powered Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Your moral code, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Are you that gritty lone wolf that
so,
Andrew played at every single superhero game that we went to?
Yes.
Yeah.
All you do is just take the same character, just change the name on top. Yeah, just a couple changes. Oh, instead of this firearm, I'll be carrying this firearm. Oh, yay, new character. Yes, Andrew, we're picking on you.
But we still love you and miss you. Make sure your threats are threatening. They have to be really, really threatening.
Yes.
It's a superhero game, so there's big stakes.
And one of my favorites, if you're going to monologue, write out a monologue.
It better be damn good.
Make it a good one. Take time to think it out. Even if you just write it out in bullet points, but think it out. If you're going to, let's face it, good guys and bad guys both, they love the monologuing. So, because that's how you find things out. That's how you see, all right, I got you guys captured. Well, not that you can do anything about it, but this is what's going to happen, and I'm going to tell you so your death is even more painful. And they go into the monologue.
I write out every single one of my monologues, and I practice them in the shower. Ding, there's a shower reference.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
On my way to and from wherever I'm going.
During the summer, with the window cracked open, his neighbors pull alongside, call 911.
Oh, he's taking over the world again.
Yep.
And if I had $1 for every time one of those assholes sitting at the table while I'm in the middle of like a riveting monologue that I've edited numerous times, so it's like epic and badass, pulls a crazy Ivan on me and like karate kicks him out the window because his pick lock skill got him out of the handcuffs or whatever, I'd be a millionaire.
Yes. Yes.
There's always that one player.
There's always that one player.
So I think you guys got something special to do right now, which is I think you're going to whip up a superhero adventure.
Yeah, we'll do one on the fly.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Some. Now, we were notified this about 5 minutes before we started
Sorry.
recording. Yeah, because he goes, this is what I want you guys to do. And it's like, oh, great.
Lose a wild card and basically everything.
Everything he does, yes. So thank you, Lou.
You're welcome.
We appreciate that.
Let's get to it.
So like the Avengers and Justice League stuff is kind of cool, but we talked about all these different ages of comic books. So
right. Pick an age.
Let's go. I don't know. We do like Silver Age, early Golden Age stuff. We could recycle some of those silly older characters from like Charleston Comics that are like public domain now. Like there's a slew of them, aren't there? There's a bunch of them. Black Terror.
About 2 years ago, you and I were having a conversation about comic book. Remember this? And we started talking about some of the superheroes you've never seen or you've seen briefly, and they were just kind of like generic spin-offs of all the existing ones, and they got clumped into this giant reservoir of open domain
Yeah,
superheroes.
They got like picked up by I don't know, Marvel or DC or someone, and then they just weren't used, so they're public domain. So
yeah, they basically just left them out on the clothesline to dry and forgot about them.
Yeah, so let's yank them off and kind of repurpose them, and I don't know.
Well, that would be interesting because you can come up with unique backgrounds for each one, or even the existing ones and modify them a little bit.
Yeah, I think modifying those existing backgrounds, which were probably like 2 or 3 sentences long, but give you enough information to kind of jazz them up a little bit. Doing pre-gens.
Yeah, pre-gen them up
would be cool.
Well, the thing is, if you have enough of them and you put enough detail in them so they know where you're going to go with them, and leave just enough room for them to customize them on their own.
Yeah.
So give them some like 2 major powers and let them hand pick, spinning off those major powers, 3 minor powers.
Yeah. I wouldn't even let them pick. I'd pick the powers.
Well, if you're doing true pre-gens, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're on your table, you want to let them have a little bit of influence because you're going to narrow down what they have available to them by saying these are your primary powers and your secondaries have to spin off of those.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to do because now the players have a little bit of agency in developing that.
Yes,
that character.
But you can still invoke a little bit of control, and you have to basically give the nod on all the powers they come up with, anyways.
So do you want to? We build a superhero team, right? How are we going to pull them together? We're going to let's say we have a table of 7 people, right? That's a good.
7's a good size table.
A good size table. So. You pull them together from there's always a couple that are aliens, right? They're from Venus or something like that.
Yeah, some weird planet.
It's an alien hotspot. That's where we get a lot of those superheroes. Those damn Venusians with their superpowers and the whatnot.
And that one from one of those Jupiter moons, not Titan or Io, the ones that everyone knows about.
Yeah,
it's one of the 57 little ones that.
Yeah, Roy.
Roy. Yeah. The moon, Roy.
Yeah, so you got an alien, and then there's one crazy one. I remember reading about it. He was petrified in a statue, and he was like a Roman, and then he came to life in a museum, and now he's like a superpowered Roman guy. And
that was before Night at the Museum.
That was well before Night at the Museum.
Yes.
So you pull them together. Maybe the government finds the crashed alien spacecraft. He was shot down by something in space while he was looking at whatever disturbance was up there or the whatnot. So he gets shot down. That's one player. Maybe maybe the government's got a couple superpowered agents that they're sending out to try to pull together a superhero team because they. And there's tons and tons during this time period of those pseudo Captain America guys. So, you grab 2 of them.
Yeah. Your frontline jack dudes.
Yeah. And they're like bulletproof or whatever. But there's so many of them out there. It's you got to pick the one with the coolest costume because they're all basically the same. And they're pulling together these other superheroes. So that's how you you kind of Nick Fury them together.
You got to have that one dark dude that that has the tattoos because back then tattoos weren't.
Yeah,
if you're
they're bald
tattooed,
and they got a goatee. Ooh, so you're an edgy kind of guy.
Yeah, that's it. With the tattoo, you're either a biker or you've been in prison.
Yep. Or you're a secret agent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you pull your team together, and maybe they're investigating some.
Well, based on our time frame, between golden and silver.
Yeah.
So we're looking at late 30s, early mid 40s?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to have to beat up some Nazis.
Yeah, it's a given.
Yes.
Maybe the Nazis are making a moon base, the big like laser cannon or whatever, and they got some superpowered Nazis that they're building because that's the sort of thing a Nazi would do, right? During the 40s, building superheroes.
Now you know what shot down your alien.
There you go. The big Nazi
V1
moon
rocket
cannon.
One of those V2 rockets.
Yeah. Well, where are they getting all this technology, right?
Right.
So where's it coming from?
It's coming from somewheres. Unless they have their own alien.
Oh well, maybe they do have their own alien. Maybe they have like an alien backer.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
Got someone that's bankrolling the Nazis and giving them all these
a little bit
alien technologies.
That would work.
So who would this alien be?
Oh, wow. Alien from, I got it.
Roy, right? It's an alien from or Venus.
Close. What planet did Ming the Merciless come from?
Oh, Mongo. Which Ming the Merciless. That's a sort of bastard that would bankroll the Nazis, right?
There you go.
Yeah, what a jerk. Yeah, so maybe your superhero characters, they pull the team together and then they go investigating this, only to find out that there's a Nazi moon base on the moon, and there's a giant laser cannon, and they go up there and they fight the superpowered Nazi team, but then they find out there's a bunch of alien technology up there, and end up tracing it back to Mongo. Maybe Hans Zarkov is taken prisoner by the Nazis, right? And he's in there, and the superhero team busts him out, and he lays out the whole plan. This is what's going on, and my buddy Flash is up there and needs your help. And
it's really to just follow the signal heading back from this giant dish transceiver.
They take one of those silly rocket ships that they had in the old Flash Gordon serials, and
there you go.
And
pay no attention to the fishing line.
Yeah, or the sparkler at the end.
Sparkles at the end.
So there you go.
There you go. Yes, we have. Will that work for you, Lou? We have a Nazi moon base pointing a large cannon, laser cannon, with alien technology at the world, holding it at hostage, being backed by Ming the Merciless from the planet Mongo, and the superpowered Germans are up there protecting the base, and our super team of leftover superheroes have gone up there to battle them, and now are presently on their way to the planet Mongo.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I got to get my tights on and make a protein shake. They're going to need my help.
Not until you sweep up the protein powder that is all over the dojo.
Get that knee brace.
Break out the Swiffer there, super cleaner.
That's his new power.
It's Swiffer Man.
That could be a power for him, I guess.
Oh, I don't know.
And those are our tips for running a superhero campaign. That's going to conclude this episode. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Please subscribe to the podcast for more great content. If you'd like to hear a particular topic, you can reach us out on Facebook at the Dungeon Masters Dojo. Or you can drop us an email at thedungeonmastersdojo@gmail.com. Thank you, and have a good day.